Hi guys. So
Hello.
we're back for yet another conversation about things that we enjoy the most.
Nice. So what is it going to be, Mojo?
Let me check. My hand's already in the pouch and I'm pulling out a topic.
Pull it out. Pull it out.
All right. So the topic for today is my first self-pleasure.
Ooh.
What's the first thing that comes to mind? First self-pleasure.
Hand.
Mm-hmm.
Body. Sounds.
Nervousness.
Nervousness. Yeah, that's actually a good one.
Yeah.
Because, it's not like we knew what we were doing in the beginning.
Yeah, accidental too.
Oh, that is totally the theme of my stories as well.
Yeah, and mine for sure.
So let's start with you, Pixie.
Yeah, my story is around pillows. I want to say I was around 10 years old, or like a year before or after. I don't really know. But I remember sleeping on my bed. I used to share a room with my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those few nights where she wasn't in the house or she was out with some friends or something. So for the first time, I had the whole room to myself. And I remember that I was kind of like sleeping and like was playing with the pillow. And at some point, the pillow landed in between my legs. And I just started like moving and playing around with it. And yeah, at some point I just kind of kept moving it faster and faster and faster, and then felt something, an urge, or I don't know, it was just this release. I think I felt a release.
Like sort of spreading of a feeling, right?
Yeah, like it just increases and increases, and then it just goes, whoop, okay, I have no idea what just happened. And I really still didn't know, even after that, what it was. All I knew that was really fun. It felt really good, and I knew that I'd want to do it again. And if memory serves me right, let's say it does, I did it again for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have memories of doing it again and again and again over the course of a couple of years with the pillow in specific, until I realized that I can do it with my fingers. But that was a lot later.
On.
Pillows were the first, and then I think the shower. Also around that same age.
Like the actual shower, overhead shower? Or
like you take the shower out of the...
Oh, wow.
Overhead shower.
Yeah.
You take the shower out and you put it close to your clit. So I remember that also felt really good. Again, no word, no name for it. But I did have two older sisters, and I do remember my mom one time telling my sisters that, masturbation, don't really, it's not good. It's not good for your face. Just don't do these things. Like, you'll get pimples, you'll get acne. Like, there were all these things around.
She said the word masturbation at least?
I don't remember.
How cool is your mom?
I knew.
Mom?
I don't remember. But I knew it was something that I shouldn't be doing.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wait, hold on now. This pillow, right?
Yes.
I'm still there with you.
Okay.
There's a pillow.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pixie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what is happening? Is the pillow under you or over you?
Ooh, yes.
Are you lying like on your chest and then you realize this, or
So I'm lying on my side.
right on?
Okay, and the pillow's in between my legs.
As one does.
One does. Yeah.
Okay.
And I just started to move the pillow up and down.
Oh man.
And it just started to feel like really nice and slightly ticklish, I think.
That's how it starts.
Yes.
I'm with you on that.
And then it just kept going. So I think my first experience was definitely on my side. But then after that, I tried others. Like when the pillow was on the bottom, or when the pillow was on top, different sizes of the pillows. But yeah, I experimented quite a fair bit with the pillow.
That's so awesome, dude. 10 years old. Gosh, dang.
Yeah.
I was one hapless lost case.
I started quite early.
Yeah.
But I really didn't know what I was doing. Like, I wouldn't... If someone asked me, whether I knew that I was masturbating or pleasing myself, I wouldn't be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to say what I was doing. All I knew it was that it felt really nice. It felt ticklish. It was fun.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Do you think this was inspired by anything that you had seen before, or this was just like something that you tried by yourself? Like I'm curious, like, how is this process of self-discovery, right? Like, because what makes a 10-year-old go down that path of self-pleasure? Like, I'm just like,
I
Yeah, I'm
don't know.
fascinated.
So I do think there might have been an example of when my mother may have told my older sisters not to keep a pillow in between their legs.
Mm.
Oh,
So I think she already provided you an image of what that would
Yeah,
be, right?
so I mean, I think maybe she did because then I knew, because somehow I knew I shouldn't be doing this.
Mm.
Oh,
So
gosh.
yeah, so that's my memory. But I really I don't
Yeah.
know. I also think I just was I explored a lot when I was young.
Yeah. That's-
And being in a all girls school when I was growing up, and I think like there were some
Rumors.
so I just explored a fair bit with myself and my buddy.
Awesome.
It sounded like Buddy.
Buddy, I was like, yeah.
Yes, it is my buddy. My pillow is my buddy.
The body is your buddy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Trademark, registered, hashtag.
Yeah.
So, Mojo, why don't we hear a little bit about some, penis action? Because I have another side story about another friend who's a penis holder
Okay.
like you. So
Yeah.
do tell.
So mine, I think this whole sexual awakening of like what I can do. I mean, I think my memory sort of like fails me, but also part of my childhood, I mean, there was also episodes of abuse. So I don't know if some of that action kind of like I already came with some of that knowledge, like, oh, this is how it is done, because when somebody did this to me,
Oh, shucks.
I felt a certain way and maybe I was replicating it. I don't know which happened. Like my memory really fails me. Like it's a blur, really. But I know I had like one episode of abuse very young. So I'm thinking I knew these nether regions are capable of certain things that I want to kind of play around and maybe discover. So, but really episodes of masturbation
Wait,
when
Mojo, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but as we sort of you take us through your journey, yeah.
Yeah, so I think these used to happen, and these were especially during holidays when I would meet certain people and all of that. But otherwise, I was kind of left to my devices. I was like exploring otherwise, what happens and all. And I distinctly remember while studying, I'm just like playing around with a pen and then just like stroking myself, and I can see my penis is responding to a certain way, and then sometimes I'm like trying out different circling whatever motions and all of that. And definitely when you said the shower, I think that's another place where I distinctly remember trying out different things. Funnily, sitting under a tap, because we didn't have the hand shower in my house. We used to have a tap, and I mean, I think a lot of this was like things I'd seen in like movies or something. Under
the
a
rain.
shower,
Yeah.
under the rain. I mean, whatever, in the rain and all of that. So I would go. There was a little bit of a tap, so I would go sit under it and let the water, and then let it follow me like in very sexy whatever. I used to act out this thing
So
and
role playing,
play, and then it would eventually like start falling on my, and I would increase the pressure of the water, and my penis would react very differently and all of that. And I knew what it would lead to. Eventually I would come and all of that, but I was also kind of like, as I was playing around, I was also like scared, especially when I was trying out. I was like, is this a limited pool I have that I will exhaust just
that big
playing around?
that classic myth.
The myth, right? So I kind of remember things that happened then as well. Like,
I remember worrying about that consequence of running out.
Absolutely.
Of
And
stash.
one other thing I really remember is I would cross-dress a little. I think, of course, I had sisters, and then their clothes, like their frock and skirts. So I think it was also like visually, like things I'd seen on TV and all of that. Sometimes I would maybe wear a little skirt and that would arouse me. And then I would wear a towel in a very sexy way. And then it would lead to arousal and things like that. I think
That's taking me back. Like, I've had where I wore sari without a blouse. I just straight up from a Bollywood movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they love that sort of image. And that classic. I think a lot of today's middle-aged men, or maybe today's 45 and above men, I think experienced one movie where this lady wears a white sari. Some really famous movie that I've never seen, of course, but I've seen that image of this woman in a white sari in the waterfall. Combine it with your idea of the rain and the water. And so the idea of this
there was Satyam Shivam Sundaram.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, remember Satyam Shivam Sundaram?
No,
it was epic because she would she was not wearing a blouse.
Correct. And it was like a sari that was one shoulder.
That's the one.
That's what it was. And I think maybe I somehow exposure to similar motives perhaps. I remember something to do with like dressing up as a thing. So but the first time you did it, were you wondering like what the frig is going on, like, because the penis has never done that before?
I don't know. It wasn't such a distinct memory.
Do you remember me like, what? It's like defying gravity. So what is going on?
No, for me, I think because it had happened before with someone and like I was already familiar with it. And I think, even when that happened, I don't know like what I felt. It was, of course, like too many other emotions. So I don't know what I felt.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's complex. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for me, I have to say it was a little like Pixie's stumbling upon it. I kid you not. Okay, so this was like, I don't know if you guys experienced this. Even today, like as an adult or whatever. Let's say you don't hydrate well enough. You need to go to the loo. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're so dehydrated that you need to go to the loo, but you don't have anything to, release. Has that ever happened to you guys?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, so it's sort of dehydration thing. Okay. Let's just say one of those things. And I figured out a way to make that feeling go. Right? And the way to do that, because I would constantly feel like I need to pee. And when I go to pee, there was nothing to do. Yeah. So using the faucet in the bathroom, the bum shower, and he just sprayed it on. And I didn't realize at the time, and I'm talking, I don't know when, but maybe like in the early, pre-teens. I would, if you spray it on the then the clit, it would go away. It was sort of, after a while, after a second or two, it would just, sort of release like a drop or something, and then it would go away. So I thought, that's a great way to solve for that X. And I didn't do it because it was a little ticklish. Yeah. And I don't like being tickled. I genuinely detest it. So I would just stop and it was done. It was only later, one time in high school, that I was like, let me see what happens. What if I was challenged to myself. Can I withstand tickling? I'm not kidding you. That is what the experiment was. So I genuinely have to understand my reaction when it ended up as an orgasm. I was like, what is happening here? Right? I'm enjoying this feeling, but I did not expect that because I wasn't seeking it. And I didn't even think about, and then the chips, everything was falling into place because then I remembered a parallel reference by some other high schoolers about jokingly talking about yet another third person about how they, creative ways of using the bum shower. And I genuinely didn't get that reference. And suddenly everything just clicked in place. So what happened was I just kept going. I just allowed the water to do the work and went past the point of ticklishness. And then suddenly there were these waves, this feeling. And then suddenly I was like moving and I had my first orgasm. And I was just, you can't imagine, I was just sitting in the loo there for a while, just being like, that's what I've been missing out on. Albeit wastage of water. So I was torn between the two values. But I encountered my first orgasm, my first self-pleasure. And this is just like you, Pixie. It began like that. It was much later than I figured I could use my hand. I genuinely didn't even connect. Now, finally, when you come to the point of using your hand, you're like, what? I can't believe I've been not using my hand. So similar stuff, but I genuinely stumbled upon it, guys. It was so funny. I always think back to that with just great, bemusement and amusement and just what the hell was happening?
Did you speak to anyone about this? Did you share what you were experiencing with some friends or anything like that?
No.
I think that's a hard no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I genuinely was because I stumbled upon it, I was like, this is mine. This is happening.
Yeah.
It's happening for me. I'm just doing this. It did occur to me to share. Also, I think it wasn't the done thing. It's not like we were sitting around talking about sex in a sort of healthy manner. As we are today, but so as a result, no, it didn't occur to me, not even with your closest friends.
Yeah, neither did I. I didn't speak to anyone about it.
Yeah, and that's what made reading all these like columns, sex with the sex questions people ask, a lot of times I would gain knowledge out of that because there are men writing and saying I've been masturbating every night, whatever, like all these myths, right? Like, is that why I'm not performing well in bed and blah, 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 all of those questions. And I also remember like there used to be Femina and Women's Era, there used to be certain columns that specifically spoke about whatever, masturbation and like these questions basically, and responding. I think whatever little I knew came out of reading these magazines secretly.
Yeah, I think also whatever little that I knew came out of magazines and books, but I remember one time when I was coming back from school in the afternoon, a couple of friends and I, this must have been in our teens by now, and there was a man we were on the train and there was a man on the station and he was masturbating.
What?
Yeah. As the train doors closed, he pulled out his penis and was like rubbing it. And
what, he's making eye contact?
Yeah, he's looking at the bunch of, girls here on the train, but he's not in the train. He's outside the train. Jesus. And the train doors are closing. And I remember one of my friend with me was just, she was laughing and then she goes, he's masturbating. And I was like, did not know. I do not know what that word is. Let's talk about it. But that's a memory I have of actually like talking about this was because of an incident that led us to talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest, I have no idea how she knew all of that.
Yeah, and the times we grew up in also, like everyone knew masturbation, but no one would say it out. I feel like none of us had the conversation around it, but we all knew what it was, kind of a thing.
I mean, if you think about just knowing words and knowing concepts, I still remember, and I'm mortified to admit this, but I think I was in the 8th grade or 9th grade, and the boys were like, talking to each other and like, just chattering away about something. And I was like, what was it? Oh, turns out they're talking about the clit. It's this bad word, or they use it as a bad word, or, as most genitals are, they become bad words in the language. So I was like, oh, what's a clit? Now I asked this one chap. He's like, can't tell you, la 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 la. And I genuinely, obviously I didn't have access to the internet or, at that moment, or to a dictionary, because that's not actually per se a word. It's a clitoris, but I didn't know that. And so I said, what is it? What do you, and I also was already of the mind, like, I had, because of the same things Mojo and Pixie were talking about, those articles and columns, when I first experienced, saw the word sexologist, was the first time, and the last, not last time, but the first time it just sort of snapped in my mind that, oh, this is healthy. There's a doctor for this. That means it's like a normal thing. What is, okay, so just something, I had an aha moment. So as a result, I was asking this guy, like, what is it? Come out with it. Why are you being so coy? Whatever, it's just the body. So he's like, oh, it's where the woman pees from. And I'm not kidding. I went through life for the next 2 years thinking that I was peeing out of my clit. Okay? That is mortifying to me. That I didn't want to cross referencing it. I just went through life thinking that was where I was peeing from. So when you think about masturbation and you have to like rub your, stimulate your clitoris, I was like, aren't you going to pee then? So it was like my real experience was I was masturbating. But the theoretical construct, I was like, but how can you? Because wouldn't that make you pee? Because that's where you pee from.
Yeah.
Just the way information flow and what you experience can be so different from the textbook, and it just creates a big old question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even remember learning about, besides the vagina and penis in biology, in human biology, I don't remember learning about anything else. So the first time that I understood that there was a clitoris was in my 20s. So yeah, it's just, you just don't have this information, and I think there is a lot of taboo around talking about this in households anyways, but schools, at least it's a part of the body. I don't remember learning about the clitoris in human biology.
Now thinking back to it, that diagram should have had it. So by the 10th grade, 2 years after, it was there. I don't remember it just sort of falling. I don't remember. I think it just suddenly became something I knew. That's the clitoris, that's the bit that you can stimulate. But I don't remember having been like, oh my God, I used to think it was. It's only now when I think back to that moment. That's so sad. That's so sad because that kid also has gone through life thinking that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true for a lot of boys and men. Like what they learn in that age is what they take with them. And then they, as a result, don't know how to pleasure anyone. Because they don't know what the hell the clitoris is or what they're supposed to be doing.
Or where it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about technique, guys. Huh? What do you like? Did you first know? Have you figured out ways of self-pleasure starting from the first time to now? Has there been a drastic difference where you totally understand your body much better now? So you know what exactly to do to keep it slow, to make it fast. You know, sometimes when it's a quickie, you need it to go fast. Or sometimes like you want to take it slow. You need to do certain things so that your body doesn't just immediately react. So what are some things you guys do?
Yeah, I think over time I've discovered that there is a certain way I use my hands, and it's kind of also peculiar. Like the funny thing with the gay world is that sometimes you also meet people, if you're not in the mood to like have sex with each other, you can also jerk off with each other, right? That's also a thing. That's also erotic, just as like, let's jerk off with each other, like, you know, kind of a thing, or give each other a hand job or whatever, right? So I was doing this once and this guy was like, oh, that's a funny use of your hand. Like, you know, the way you do it is so funny, because I was like rubbing it in the wrong direction or whatever, but works for me, you know? And he was laughing. That was the only time like I was like, oh, like, you know, of course, like people use their hands differently. But yeah, I think over time, I think watching a lot of porn and you also like know that, oh, I could use my hands to cup my balls or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
It's not just about the penis.
Yeah.
But the balls as well.
Yeah, the balls as well. And then you're also making circular motions differently. And there are also certain points, I think, that are like very sensitive.
Erogenous.
Yeah. Erogenous. That's a new word for me. So yeah, things like that. I think over time you've kind of figured whether the head is more sensitive and all of that. Things like that. Yeah, I think of course it has changed over time.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has changed over time. But the fingers, they've remained. They're the best.
They're the most muscular ones.
Absolutely. Very good. Yeah, the fingers have stayed. I think I don't use the pillow as much as I used to before.
Because that's quite a production.
Yeah, it is. It is quite a... Especially when you want a quickie.
Yeah.
You can just use your fingers. But yeah, even with the fingers, it's so delicate. There's so many things. Like before I used to only use one hand, and then slowly started to explore two hands, like one on the clit, one on the like near the vagina, just like you know, tickling the vagina a little bit, and that is great. Sometimes lying on my back, on my sides, lying on my stomach. So I've tried everything, and have quite enjoyed it. The one thing I know that I don't enjoy is actually vibrators.
Yeah, I was literally just going to ask you that.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that. I tried, maybe because I guess also you have to take some time learning how to use the vibrator, and you know, you have the topical vibrator, and yeah, I just never liked it as much.
What do you mean by topical vibrator?
So there's one, like, you have a vibrator where you just put it around your clit and it vibrates. You turn it on and it vibrates.
Right.
And it has motions that you can, you know, fast, slow, whatever. Yeah, and I've tried it maybe 3 times since I bought it. And each time I feel like it takes too much time. And I just...
But is it more like a slow build-up, or you just feel like it's going nowhere?
It is going nowhere. For me, I just felt like it's just not going anywhere. I'd rather use my fingers. Yeah. And there's also the sense of comfort with my fingers, that I know how to do it, and I know how it works to get me to my climax.
Yeah, absolutely. I think fingers and hands are the best. Like, I've never used any vibrators or anything. I mean, I don't know. If men do, I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. Right? I haven't heard of... But for me, it's a lot of like creams and oils. Yeah. I've tried out with different oils, and just to kind of have different sensations, and it totally works. Yeah.
Huh.
What about you, Cherry?
So I just, my trusted hand. A trusty hand. That suffices. That's the trick. I seem to have I've gotten to know my clitoris so well. You know, how it moves under a certain pressure, where it needs to go, or which rotation, or, you know, whatever. So as a result, I seem to know so well. Self-pleasure is so, it's guaranteed. I have to say, I know me best. So self-pleasure just, tops everything else.
We can't have this episode and not talk about that iconic scene in Call Me By Your Name, where he uses the peach. Which is so amazing. Erotic. I think, yeah.
But let's just go back to that scene. Just tell us what the scene was.
Yeah, the scene was where Elio, this teenager, is kind of giving himself pleasure, and his lover is away, of course. And then there is a peach. He's eating a peach. It's this lazy afternoon. It's sunny. It's a beautiful scene. He's lying on his bed, and slowly he's like, okay, and he's eating this peach, and slowly he takes it down, and then, puts it around his cock, and then he's just going at it, and then he comes into the peach and all of that. There is more to it, but watch the movie.
Yeah. He treats the peach like a butt.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a beautiful scene.
Yeah, it is.
But I remember thinking, like, I have, what kind of vegetables would I use, or fruits would I use for myself? And I guess the only one I could think of was, that I've heard of is a cucumber.
Cucumbers, carrots, maybe a little exfoliation in the process.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something to try. Something with fruits and vegetables.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of having stuff that's organic go up anywhere because there could be residue, and so, you know, things can happen.
Yeah.
You can get all kinds of funky stuff going on there.
We've gone back to that same conversation.
It's that colony, guys. We gotta decolonize. Decolonize. No colonies of bacteria allowed on my turf.
Do any of you use it as a regular thing? Like, how often? What is frequency?
What, masturbation?
Masturbation.
It varies.
Wait, did you mean use it as in use toys?
No. I think what I was trying to say was, like, how often do people...
So I have my moods.
Yeah.
I have, like, unlike anytime, anywhere type of thing, I have certain... I'm trying to figure out whether it's related to my cycle, my menstruation cycle, but I think it might be, kind of, ish.
Yeah.
New ovulation period, I'm a little more feeling the sexy, the libido's back up. But if you say, are you a high libido person, just in general, I'd be lying if I said yes.
Yeah, I think, same for me, Cherry. I think a lot of it happens during, like, around ovulation time and hormones. But yeah, I would say in a month, maybe 10 times.
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, same. I think just, unless I'm super tired or whatever, I think there's sort of it feels like a complete day. Especially if I'm not hooking up with someone. I think in itself it's sort of like a complete
I have to say that sometimes it wakes me up because it gets the blood going all over the place. So rather than put me to sleep, it wakes me up.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes I do just if that's what I need to just get going with my life. Sometimes I use it for utilitarian purposes.
No, totally. Yeah, totally. It just wakes you up because you're like, there's so much, all these sensations, everything wakes up and you're
on
ready
that
to go.
note, good morning, self-pleasure.
Did you know that in a survey conducted by Agents of Ishq,
I love that name.
I know. And I think they did the survey in 2017 with around 100 Indian women. So just quick highlights of the survey results. 21% of respondents said that they were told at some point that women masturbating is just not possible.
Wow.
And besides these myths, these other things that the survey looked at was, how did women masturbate? So 24% of the women were busy pleasuring themselves with water jets. 14% used hands. Others used anything from across the range of vegetables, toothbrushes, bottles, and even ice cubes. I have not tried ice cubes. That's
but I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that because doesn't that make it like less blood is flowing? I don't get it.
I don't know. We'll have to try it.
Let's think about it.
Let's try it. Please try and report back.
We will. And one more. In terms of how often, so over 30% of the women masturbated daily, and around an equal number masturbated maybe once or twice a week.
Well done, ladies.
Yeah, go for it.
With lady parts.
Yeah. And did you know, actually this is a little bit of me going, if I could go back in time and tell my younger self, masturbating makes you infertile. That's a total myth, right? Because I think, especially for men, masturbating in excess may impact sperm count, but it's only temporary. It just takes about 12 to 24 hours to regenerate good sperm count after previous ejaculation. So men, go for it. And even for women, it isn't likely to have any effect on fertility. So
yeah,
fear not.
It's a scare tactic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you guys know, on that point that Mojo just shared, we've been masturbating since the dawn of time. So this goes back all the way to 50,000, 30,000 years BC, I think. And they've actually found a dildo from that era, dated to that era, incidentally in current day Germany. And it's a dildo, guys. And there are certain things about it that it's not just a piece of stone, because, okay, you could speculate that it isn't. But there are a lot of signs to show that it is, in fact, a dildo. So all the way back, guys, what it means is that somebody was thinking about pleasuring themselves or pleasuring each other with tools and tips and tricks.
Fascinating.
So,
way back.
It's sanskari, bro.
Yeah.
It goes all the way back to our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get our rocks off.
Yes.
Rocks, ice cubes, whatever.